Welcome back to Navigating the Streams. I'm Mike DeLong, and I've gathered all the new movies coming to your streaming services in one place so you don't have to. I've got everything that's coming out this month, plus a look back to see what I missed in July. Without further ado, let's see what's coming out in August. First up is Netflix, with a whole bunch of movies you've never heard of before. So why are we still subscribed? On the 3rd, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the only movie on this list that you probably have heard of, is leaving Peacock and coming to Netflix. On the 5th, Big Chicken, a fast food conspiracy comes out. It's a documentary where Mo Gilligan will eat nothing but fried chicken for 28 days. Yikes. On the 5th, Inside the Truster Scandal comes out. It's a Swedish crime documentary about Sweden's most infamous corporate crime. On the 7th, a horror thriller called The Last House is coming out. A family is sealed inside their home and must work together to try to survive. On the 8th, the anime The Ribbon Hero comes out. A princess has lost her kingdom and wanders until she can find a safe place. On the 10th, Midwinter Break comes out. It's a drama where a retired couple takes a holiday to Amsterdam to escape their routines, but they end up uncovering things that they've kept buried for years. On the 11th, we have a comedy special from Rory Scovel called The Show Must Go On. And on the 12th, Nando Between Two Worlds comes out. It's a Brazilian drama based off the TV show Sintonia, focusing on Nando as he navigates his dual lives. On the 13th, there's a Mexican documentary called A Child of My Own. After suffering through several miscarriages, a woman fakes her pregnancy, which ends up becoming a national scandal. Also on the 13th, This, That, and Everything in Between. It's a Filipino drama where a TV writer returns home to her estranged mother, igniting chaos as they navigate their relationship. On the 14th, La Fiera comes out. It's a Spanish drama where 3 skydivers die in similar manners across 5 years. Also on the 14th, the drama Don't Say Good Luck comes out. A girl gets the lead in her high school musical, and shortly after, her mother's cancer comes back. On the 18th, we have another comedy special coming out. This one from Kelsey Cook called Happy Hour. On the 19th, Freefall, A Reckoning for Boeing comes out. It's a documentary that investigates a corporation in crisis and their systematic failures. Also on the 19th, Here the Whole Time. It's a Brazilian coming-of-age story where a young man wants nothing but a quiet summer vacation when his mom decides to host his neighbor and former friend, only for feelings to arise. On the 20th, the Thai crime documentary Chompu, Lost and Forgotten comes out. A little girl disappears and the investigation turns into a media circus. On the 21st, Facing El Chapo comes out. It's a Mexican drama where 2 officers on a routine traffic stop come face to face with the notorious criminal. We have 2 movies coming on the 28th. The first one, a Danish drama called The Secret Woman, and The Whisper Man, a psychological thriller. When a crime writer's son goes missing, he asks his father for help, and their investigation makes connections to a serial killer from decades ago. I did miss one movie on Netflix from last month, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Evil Origins. It's a Philippine horror movie. Next up is Hulu. On the 1st, Amor es Amor comes out. It's a comedy, but Rob Schneider's involved, so probably not. An up-and-coming telenovela actor must hide his true self in order to achieve stardom. Also on the 1st, Untitled Home Invasion Romance. It's a comedy where, in order to save his marriage, an actor stages a home invasion on a romantic getaway. I don't think that's going to work, man. On the 7th, Muzzle City of Wolves comes out. It's an action thriller sequel to a movie that I've never heard of. An ex-canine officer's life is shattered when his family is attacked. With his new canine partner, he hunts down the criminals and uncovers many secrets. On the 13th, Travis Barker Louder Than Fear comes out. It's a documentary that tells the life of the Blink-182 drummer, including the plane crash he survived. On the 14th, Busboys comes out. Again, it's a comedy, but this one stars David Spade and Theo Vaughn, so take that genre with a grain of salt. 2 idiots believe that if they become waiters, all of their problems will be solved. Doesn't sound funny. On the 14th, the thriller Violent Ends comes out. It sounds like it's nearly Romeo and Juliet of the Ozarks with their star-crossed lovers, but it also includes the only honest man in a crime family that's pushed to the point of revenge. So, I don't know if this one's going to be worth anything either. Also on the 14th, The Wizard of the Kremlin. It's a biographical drama where a young filmmaker navigates post-Soviet Russia when he becomes advisor to Putin as he rises to power. On the 22nd, the dark comedy The Christophers comes out. Children of a famous artist hire a forger to complete some abandoned canvases in order to create an inheritance. And finally, on the 28th, Desert Warrior comes out. And this is a movie with a backstory. Saudi Arabia is trying to diversify their economy, so they pour a ton of money into this movie about a rogue warrior who becomes the enemy of an emperor because he helps an exiled king and his daughter in the desert. I don't know if it's any good, but I don't know that I want to see it either. I've got one recommendation on Hulu. All of Us Strangers is an interesting love story that, if you haven't caught up with it, give this one a shot. It's good. HBO Max is next. On the 7th, The Strangers Chapter 2 comes out. Maya faces another night of terror in a small town thanks to 3 deadly killers. On the 14th, the crime thriller Normal comes out. Bob Odenkirk is a temporary small-town sheriff who uncovers a dark mystery after a bank heist. Also on the 14th, Whitmer Thomas has a comedy special called Terminal Crew of Dudes. And finally, on the 21st, the thriller Mother Mary comes out. When an iconic pop star reunites with her former costume designer, old wounds rise to the surface. This is one of Anne Hathaway's many movies to come out this year. We've got a few recommendations this month. First up, Barbarian by Zach Kreger, which I think is better than Weapons. The 40th anniversary of Stand By Me is this year, and man, do I love this movie. And The Cabin in the Woods, which is an interesting horror movie that non-horror fans really enjoy. I did miss one thing on HBO in July, Lee Cronin's The Mummy from earlier this year. It was initially on my list of movies to see, but I think I've changed my mind on this one. I only have so much time. If you like it, let me know in the comments. If you're enjoying this video, please like, subscribe, and hype this video. Share it on your socials so your friends don't miss out on any new movies. Up next is Amazon Prime. On the 7th, The Gates comes out. It's a thriller where 3 black men take a detour through a gated community, only to witness a murder. Now, the residents are hunting them down. This one is possibly James Van Der Beek's final role. On the 19th, we have another thriller coming out. This one is called Is God Is. 2 sisters are sent on a quest of revenge by their mother. On the 21st, we have a German comedy called Back to the 90s. 5 friends who always wanted to be in a boy band accidentally travel back to 1995 and make all their dreams come true. There's another comedy coming out on the 21st that I'm really interested in checking out called Good Fortune. An inept angel tries to prove that money can't solve the problems of one man, but things don't go as he expects. And finally, on the 26th, The Last Sunrise. It's a romance movie where a woman finds love on vacation and struggles with the decision to go back to her obligations or stay with this man. A couple of quick Prime recommendations, and it's the same movie. Both versions of the Thomas Crown Affair are coming out to Prime. The 60s version with Steve McQueen, and the 90s one that I surprisingly prefer with Pierce Brosnan. There are a good number of movies that I missed on Prime, and there's some big ones. First, the blockbuster Project Hail Mary, which I really enjoyed. The Devil's Mouth, that I haven't heard anything about. Masters of the Universe, which I think everybody should check out, even though I found it disappointing. You might enjoy it. And a movie that I'm really on the fence about, The Sheep Detectives. Maybe I'll watch this one with my family. We've got Peacock up next. On the 6th, The Ballad of Wallace Island is leaving Prime and coming to Peacock. I've heard a lot of good things about this movie where a man tries to get his favorite musicians back together. On the 7th, the rom-com You, Me, and Tuscany comes out. A woman crashes an empty Italian villa posing as the owner's fiancé, but unexpectedly finds love. On the 20th, We Are Pat comes out. It's a comedic documentary about Julia Sweeney's controversial SNL character and the movie it spawned, viewed through a 2025 lens by members of the trans community. It kind of looks interesting, actually. On the 21st, She Dances comes out. It's a dramedy about a single dad trying to reconnect with his daughter by chaperoning her dance competition. On the 27th, the psychological thriller The Woman in the Yard is leaving Prime and coming to Peacock, or coming back to Peacock. I don't know. This one has switched services so many times. And finally, on the 28th, Fear Lake Lanier comes out. It's a horror movie about a woman who goes back to the lake where she lost her best friend and her fiance on the same night. Why would you do that? I got a handful of recommendations on Peacock. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective is a great breakout comedy for Jim Carrey. Almost Famous is one of my favorite movies from that year. One of my favorite Christmas movies, Gremlins, is coming to Peacock. And a movie that I surprisingly enjoyed, Cop Shop, with Gerard Butler. I did miss a couple of things on Peacock last month. The box office phenomenon Obsession is on streaming. And stay tuned because I watched it last month. You'll hear my review in a couple weeks. Black Bag is going to be back on Peacock. And the Super Mario Galaxy movie snuck in late last month. Paramount Plus is up next, and on the 1st, You're Dating a Narcissist comes out. It's a comedy where an outspoken psychologist and her best friend rush to LA to stop her daughter's wedding to a suspected narcissist. I have 3 recommendations for Paramount Plus. Best in Show is probably the last great mockumentary done by Christopher Guest. The 80s comedy Clue is a wonderful watch. And School Ties, with early performances from Brendan Fraser, Chris O'Donnell, Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck. And finally, we have Disney Plus. On the 1st, Time and Water comes out. It's a documentary where an Icelandic writer turns loss into a time capsule, documenting nature and his family. Also coming out on Hulu. And while I don't have any confirmation of this, it is likely that The Mandalorian and Grogu will be out on Disney Plus later this month. The Devil Wears Prada 2 was a late addition to Disney Plus last month. That's all we have for this month. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this streaming video. The movie that I'm most interested in watching is definitely Good Fortune, or maybe some of the July releases that didn't make my video last month. What about you? Let me know in the comments. My next video will be a review roundup of everything I watched in July. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.